All right, today we're gonna be talking about the Kolari Vision magnetic clip-in mist filter, newly released for the Lumix full-frame S-series cameras. That means they work on the old generation of Lumix S-series, as well as the S5 II, S5 IIX, S9, and now the S1R2, S1 II, and S1 IIe. This will not work on the Sigma FP cameras. I have been told they're open to creating one, but they need to see a demand first. So although I'm only going to be talking about the mist filter in this video, there's a whole list of other filters available. A lot of the times I just want like a really subtle, kind of dreamy look, but I want that subtle effect to appear on my entire focal range. If you shoot with a 1/8 filter at 24 millimeters and then you zoom into 70 millimeters, that effect is greatly exaggerated. So I wanted to see if using a filter like this in front of the sensor could reduce that. All right, before I go over some of the pros and cons and just general notes of this system, let me show you how to install it. All right, so the first thing you're gonna do is grab this installation tool that Kolari gives you. You can see on the back side it has two little pieces of adhesive, and you're gonna peel each one of these off. And basically what's gonna happen is you're gonna turn this around after, and then you're just gonna hold this, and you're gonna press it against where you mount your lens. Now those are ready to go onto your camera. Also, I should note that Kolari recommends having your shutter curtain down while installing this, just to prevent any dust from getting on your sensor. If you want to give it another press there, you can, but these are very light magnets, so they should be on there pretty good. Okay, now we're going to take the filter and we're gonna put it in. I like to tilt my camera back a little bit, makes it a little easier, and then just hold the filter by the bottom and then make contact with the first magnet, and then it just kind of pops into place. And then to get it out, we're gonna use this little tool that they give you, which looks like a guitar pick, but it has a little bit of indentation there, which grabs onto the filter. Pick the pick, put it right there, pull back towards you, and there you go. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is what I mentioned before, which is the effect consistency throughout a wide focal range. So let's take a look at how using a 1/8 Pro Mist on the front of the lens differs from using the 1/8 Pro Mist behind the lens. So as you can see, as I go from 24 millimeters up to 60 millimeters, with the circular filter, the 60X, the light that looks like this behind me, the blooming increases significantly with the circular filter. But with the clip-in behind the lens, it stays relatively consistent. So now let's take a look at a heavily backlit scene. So as you can see with the circular filter, again, there is a huge loss of contrast, particularly in my face, in my beard, as well as in my shirt. And when you compare that to the clip-in filter, the contrast is pretty well controlled. So I mentioned this before, but another benefit to this system is that you only have to buy one filter per camera. So you can just pop it in the camera, leave it there all day, maybe take it out for specialty shots that where you really want that sharpness and contrast. But for the most part, you can just leave it in. And that's great if you're someone who shoots with different primes throughout the day or just switches your zoom lenses a lot. Not only that, but if you're someone who shoots with multiple filters, such as fixed ND or variable NDs, you don't have to stack them. So the main downside that I have found with this system is shooting at smaller apertures, particularly like f9, f10 and above, which doesn't happen that often, at least for me, but if you're shooting macro, that can definitely happen. The way this filter reflects and diffuses light is by little particles that are placed on the filter. So when you put that filter right up next to the sensor, as you stop down, some of those particles start to become visible, and they kind of look like sensor dust, but kind of all over the image. And the extent in which you can see that really depends on what you're shooting. So if you're shooting against a light colored background, macro, f10, those particles are pretty visible. They're kind of grayish in color, so they really pop on a white background. But if you're shooting a landscape where there's a lot of different colors, darker colors, it's definitely harder to see. So it really depends. Now I'm going to touch on some more general notes, which I wouldn't consider either bad or good, It kind of just depends on who you are and what you shoot and how much you are impacted by these things. The first is going to be flaring. So a lot of lens flares are a result of reflections between the sensor area and lens elements. And so when you put another piece of glass in between those, there's going to be additional reflections. So when I compared circular Tiffin and Kolari 1/8 Black Pro Mists to the clip-in version, there was significantly more secondary flaring in the clip-in. So based on my examples, the anti-reflective coating appears to be green, and that just comes across as a green secondary flare. If you're shooting with a lot of vintage glass, which tend to have amber and purple coatings, that clash of the secondary green flare and those amber or purple primary flares might not be something you want to deal with. So like I mentioned earlier, this is not really a pro or a con to me, it's just something that you should be aware of, and it really depends on what you shoot with, what you shoot, and how much you care about that. So another general note is just on color cast of the filter. And from my testing, I see a slightly warm color cast. I kind of like it, to be honest. It wasn't too surprising to me, and I don't think it's too jarring. So some of you are probably wondering about the safety of the magnets and putting them so close to the sensor. And it's a great concern. You know, you might be concerned about IBIS or just your shutter performance. But I have confirmed with Kolari that it's not an issue. And I'm actually gonna read what they told me so I don't mess it up. What they said was the magnetic plate we provide blocks the magnetic field from reaching into the shutter/IBIS area. So you should be fine, you will be fine, but if you have any other concerns, I'm happy to check with them and get back to you. So that's all I've got on this right now. I'm happy to show other tests if you need it. If you found this video helpful and you do want to snag one of these, I will have my affiliate link down below, which you can use to purchase any of the Lumix full frame clip-in filters. And I'll receive a small kickback if you do that. So it's just a small way of supporting me. I really appreciate it. Let me know if you have any other questions. I'm happy to do more tests. You know, I love testing things. So keep me posted, and thanks for watching.